Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a deep breath and imagine this. Every moment you spend trapped in the shadows of yesterday is a moment stolen from the brilliance that God has destined for you today. Yes, I said it. Trapped in the past. The mistakes, the regrets, the what-ifs, they're like chains keeping your potential in a cage. But here's the truth: the God who created the stars, who set the oceans in motion, is still whispering to you, you are not finished. Your story is far from over. Rise, move forward. The destiny I have set before you. Too often, we look behind us, we linger in the pain of what has been, and we forget the power of what can be. But what if today, right now, you decide to break those chains? What if you step into a life unshackled by yesterday, powered by the divine force that is pushing you forward? My friends, your past does not define you. God's purpose for you does. And it's waiting for you, open, armed, full of promise. Every single one of us carries a past, and whether we admit it or not, we sometimes let it sit on our shoulders like a heavy weight. We replay old mistakes while driving to work. We remember harsh words spoken in anger while lying awake at night. We relive moments when we failed an exam, lost a job, trusted the wrong person, or made a decision that changed our path. And slowly, without realizing it, we start believing that those moments are who we are. But hear this clearly: your past is a chapter, not the whole book. God never created you to be a prisoner yesterday. What happened to you or what you did does not cancel the purpose God placed inside you before you were even aware of yourself. Think about daily life. Imagine a person who once failed in business. They invested money, trusted people, worked day and night, and still lost everything. Society labels them a failure. Even their own mind starts repeating that label. Every time a new opportunity appears, the voice of the past whispers, remember what happened last time. But God does not see that failure as an identity. God sees it as experience. The sleepless nights taught discipline. The loss taught wisdom. The pain taught humility. What looks like defeat to the world becomes preparation in the hands of God. That person is not broken, they are seasoned. Look at how a child learns to walk. A child falls again and again. If that child decided after one fall, this fall defines me, they would never walk. But God designed growth to come through falling, learning, and rising again. Adults forget this truth. We fall once in life, and we sit down permanently in regret. We stop moving, stop dreaming, stop believing. Yet God is saying, stand up again. That fall was not the end. It was training. Your past mistakes do not surprise God. You may be shocked by your own choices, but God already saw them and still chose you. If God only worked with perfect people, nothing in this world would move forward. God works with real people. People with flaws, scars, and stories. The pain you went through did not disqualify you, it shaped you. The tears you cried watered the strength you carry today. Think about someone who grew up in difficulty, limited resources, little encouragement, constant struggle. They might think, people like me don't succeed, but that background can become fuel instead of a cage. It builds resilience, patience, and hunger. God often uses people who have seen the hardest sides of life because they understand compassion, endurance, and gratitude. What you survived was not meant to trap you. It was meant to teach you how strong you are. Every morning you wake up, God gives you fresh time. The sun does not ask what mistakes you made yesterday before it rises. It rises anyway. That is a daily reminder from God that you are allowed to start again. The past only has power if you keep feeding it with your attention. When you constantly look back, you walk forward blindly. God's direction is always ahead, never behind. Your identity is not your worst decision. It is not your lowest moment. It is not the season when you were weak. Your identity comes from the one who created you with intention. God placed abilities, ideas, and purpose inside you that are bigger than any failure. When you stop calling yourself by the name of your past and start calling yourself by the name of your purpose, everything changes. People who rise in life are not people with perfect histories. They are people who refuse to let history define their future. They learn, they grow, and they move. They forgive themselves because they understand that God's mercy is greater than their regret. They stop wasting energy explaining their past and start investing energy building their future. So when the memory of yesterday tries to speak louder than the promise of today, Remind yourself, I am still here. I am still breathing. God is not finished with me. What lies behind me taught me, but it will not control me. I will walk forward with wisdom, strength, and faith, knowing that my past prepared me, but my future defines me. So many people are tired, not because life is too heavy, but because their focus is misplaced. They wake up every day looking at what went wrong instead of what God is building. Their eyes are fixed on closed doors, broken relationships, missed chances, and unanswered prayers. And without realizing it, they are staring at yesterday while standing in today. But God never asked you to live by looking backward. God's plan has always been forward-moving, purpose-driven, and future-focused. In daily life, focus decides direction. Think about driving a car. If you keep staring into the rear-view mirror, you will crash. The mirror exists to glance, not to live in. Yet many people live their entire lives in the rear-view mirror of regret. God's plan is the road ahead, not the dust behind you. When you shift your focus, your energy shifts. When your energy shifts, your life begins to move. Look at how distractions work in ordinary moments. A student preparing for an exam keeps thinking about failing the last one. Every time they open a book, fear speaks louder than faith. Their mind is not on learning, it's on the memory of failure. But the moment that student decides to focus on growth instead of fear, everything changes, concentration improves, confidence builds, results follow. The same rule applies to life. God's plan requires your attention. You cannot walk into purpose while constantly staring at pain. God's plan is often quiet, while the past is loud. Regret shouts, fear screams. Memories replay like a broken record. But God's direction comes as a steady inner pull, asking you to trust, move, and grow. When you keep listening to the noise of the past, you miss the gentle guidance of God in the present. Focus is not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing which voice gets control of your actions. Think about someone who went through heartbreak. They trusted deeply and were disappointed. Now every new connection feels dangerous. They compare everyone to the one who hurt them. As long as their focus stays on the pain, they cannot receive what God is trying to bring into their life. God's plan may include healing, stronger relationships, and deeper understanding, but it cannot enter a heart that is locked in yesterday's wounds. When focus shifts from fear to trust, the heart slowly opens again. The world trains us to focus on what we lack. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough support. But God's plan operates through what you already have. When you focus on lack, you freeze. When you focus on purpose, you move. Even small steps become powerful when they are aligned with God's direction. You don't need to see the entire plan. You only need to focus on the next right step. Daily life proves this truth again and again. Athletes don't win by thinking about past losses during the game. They win by focusing on the next move. Workers don't grow by replaying past criticism. They grow by improving their skills. Parents don't raise strong children by focusing on their own childhood wounds. They grow by focusing on the future they want to build. Focus is a choice, and God honors the choice to look forward. God's plan is not revealed all at once. It unfolds as you walk. But walking requires looking ahead. When you keep your focus on what God is shaping instead of what once broke you, you begin to notice opportunities instead of obstacles. You see lessons instead of losses. You see direction instead of confusion. Your mindset shifts from survival to purpose. Sometimes shifting focus means letting go of questions that have no answers. Why did it happen? Why then? These questions can trap you in circles. God's plan is less about explaining the past and more about transforming the future. When you release the need to understand everything, you gain the freedom to move forward. When your focus aligns with God's plan, your days become lighter. Because life becomes easy, but because your vision becomes clear. You stop wasting strength on what you cannot change and start investing energy in what you can build. You begin to wake up with intention instead of regret. So today, choose where your eyes will rest, but not on what's lost, but on what can be built. Not on the pain that shaped you, but on the purpose that calls you. When you shift your focus to God's plan, you stop wandering and start walking. And step by step, you realize that the future God is leading you into is far greater than anything you left behind. Most people don't realize how powerful the present moment is because they rarely live in it. Their bodies are here, but their minds are somewhere else, replaying yesterday or worrying about tomorrow. They sit with family while thinking about old arguments. They work while fearing future failure. They pray while remembering past pain, and slowly life slips through their fingers. But God designed power to exist in the now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right here, right now. Look at daily life. When you eat a meal while scrolling on your phone, you don't taste the food. When you talk to someone while thinking about something else, you don't truly connect. In the same way, when you live without presence, you don't fully live. God placed you in this moment for a reason. This breath you are taking, this heartbeat you feel, this opportunity you are standing in, this is where change begins. The present moment is where decisions are made. You don't decide yesterday to improve your life. You don't choose tomorrow to forgive, to work harder, to believe again. Every meaningful decision happens now. God works in moments of action, not moments of regret. Regret drains energy. Presence creates momentum. Think about someone who keeps waiting for the right time. They say, one day I'll start taking care of my health. One day I'll chase my dream. One day I'll heal. That, one day becomes years. God never promised a perfect time. God promised a present opportunity. The power to move, to change, to grow is always available now. Waiting for ideal conditions is often just fear wearing a polite mask. Children understand the power of now better than adults. When they laugh fully. When they cry honestly. They don't hold back emotion for later. Somewhere along the way, adults forget how to be present. They postpone joy and delay courage. But God invites you back into awareness to feel fully, act intentionally, and live consciously. The present moment is also where healing happens. You cannot heal a past wound by reliving it again and again. Healing begins when you stop running from the pain and face it gently in the now. God's comfort does not operate in memory alone. It flows into your current experience. When you allow yourself to be present, you allow healing to enter. Look at stress and anxiety. They are rarely about what is happening right now. They are about what might happen later or what already happened before. The body is here, but the mind is racing elsewhere. God's peace, however, exists in the present. When you slow down and ground yourself in this moment, peace becomes possible. Not because problems disappear, but because your strength increases. Even success is built moment by moment. No one wakes up one day and suddenly has discipline, wisdom, or confidence. These qualities are built through small choices made in the now, choosing to show up today, choosing to try again today, choosing to stay patient today. God honors consistency more than intensity, and consistency only exists in the present. The present moment is where gratitude lives. You cannot be grateful yesterday, and you cannot be grateful tomorrow. Gratitude is a now experience. When you notice what you have instead of what you lost, your heart shifts. God's blessings often go unnoticed because people are too busy chasing what they don't have. Presence opens your eyes to what is already working. Many people fear the present because it forces them to take responsibility. It's easier to blame the past or worry about the future than to act now. But God empowers responsibility. When you accept the present moment, you accept your ability to choose, and choice is freedom. The now is also where faith is practiced. Faith is not believing that something once happened or might happen someday. Faith is trusting God enough to take a step today without seeing the whole path. It's choosing courage in this moment, even when fear whispers loudly. Life doesn't change all at once. It changes one present moment at a time, one honest conversation. One brave decision, one calm breath, one focused effort. God doesn't rush you. God meets you where you are. But you must be here to meet him. So stop waiting for another season to live fully. Stop postponing peace, joy, and action. This moment is not random. It is a gift. It is alive with possibility. When you honor the now, you honor the life God has given you. And when you live fully in this moment, you don't just exist. You begin to transform. So many people are quietly exhausted, not because life is too hard, but because they are carrying emotional weight that was never meant to be held forever. Regret and guilt sit in their hearts like unpaid debts, constantly reminding them of what they did wrong, what they failed to do, or who they hurt. These feelings replay old scenes again and again, stealing sleep, joy, and confidence. But God never designed you to live chained to self-punishment. Letting go of regret and guilt is not denial, it is obedience to growth. In daily life, think about how people treat a cracked cup. Once it's damaged, they either throw it away or hide it. Many people treat themselves the same way after making mistakes. They believe they are no longer worthy of love, opportunity, or success. But God does not discard what is cracked. God repairs, reshapes, and reuses. The crack does not destroy the cup. It reveals where healing is needed. Regret often pretends to be responsibility. It says, if I keep feeling bad, it means I care. But endless regret does not fix the past. It only poisons the present. Real responsibility learns the lesson and then moves forward. God is not asking you to relive your mistake. He is asking you to rise wiser from it. Carrying guilt does not make you holy, it makes you heavy. Look at someone who said the wrong words in anger and damaged a relationship. They replay that moment every day, wishing they could take it back. But time does not move backward. What can move forward is humility, apology, and change behavior. God values transformation more than self-blame. When guilt keeps you stuck, it prevents you from becoming better. Guilt also distorts how you see yourself. You stop seeing your strengths and only notice your failures. You downplay your achievements and magnify your flaws. Over time, guilt becomes an identity instead of an emotion. But God never named you by your worst moment. Your mistake has a name. You have a purpose. In daily routines, guilt shows up quietly. It makes you overwork to prove your worth. It makes you accept less than you deserve because you feel you should be punished. It makes you stay silent when you should speak and hide when you should shine. God does not want you shrinking. God wants you healed. Forgiving yourself is one of the hardest acts of courage. People often wait for permission from others, from time, from circumstances. But self-forgiveness begins when you accept that you are human and growing. God understands growth. Growth is messy. Learning is uncomfortable. Mistakes are part of becoming wise. Regret looks backward and says, I failed. Wisdom looks forward and says, I learned. God always works with wisdom, not shame. When you release guilt, you create space for clarity. You begin to see what needs to change instead of what needs to be punished. Think about carrying a heavy bag all day. At first, you manage. But after hours, your shoulders ache, your steps slow, and your energy fades. Regret and guilt work the same way. They drain you slowly. When you finally put the bag down, you realize how much lighter life can feel. God invites you to put the burden down, not tomorrow, but now. Letting go does not mean pretending nothing happened. It means acknowledging the past without allowing it to control your future. God's mercy is not fragile. It does not break when you make mistakes. It is strong enough to handle your truth. When you release regret, you regain focus. When you release guilt, you regain peace. And when peace enters your life, you become stronger, clearer, and more purposeful. God restores those who are willing to stop punishing themselves and start growing. So today, allow yourself to breathe again. Allow yourself to stand tall without shame. The past has taught you enough. You do not need to suffer to prove you learned. Let go, step forward, and live lighter. God is not holding your mistakes against you, so stop holding them against yourself. Life often feels confusing because people want instant clarity, instant success, and instant answers. When things don't happen quickly, doubt creeps in. People start questioning themselves, their efforts, and even God's presence. They wonder if they are moving in the right direction or wasting time. But growth has never been instant. God's work is progressive, unfolding layer by layer, moment by moment. Trusting the process means believing that what you cannot yet see is still working for your good. In daily life, think about planting a seed. You don't put it in the soil and dig it up the next day to check if it's growing. If you did, you would destroy it. Yet many people treat their lives that way. They take one step forward, then panic when results don't show immediately. They question every delay, forgetting that God works beneath the surface long before anything appears above it. Trusting the process requires patience, and patience is not passive, it is active faith. It is waking up and doing the right thing even when motivation is low and progress feels invisible. God values consistency over speed. The slow days are not wasted days. They are strengthening days. Look at someone learning a new skill. At first, they struggle. Mistakes are frequent. Confidence is low. If they quit early, they will never reach mastery. But if they keep practicing, improvement becomes inevitable. God's process works the same way. Repetition builds strength, challenges refine character, delays deepen understanding. People often misunderstand struggle. They assume difficulty means something is wrong, but struggle is often a sign that something is forming. Muscles grow by resistance. Wisdom grows by experience. Strength grows by endurance. God uses pressure to shape you, not to break you. Trusting the process also means accepting timing. Not everything happens when you want it to, but everything happens when you are ready for it. God's timing protects you from receiving things too early before you have the maturity to handle them. What feels like waiting is often preparation. In daily routines, the process can feel boring. Wake up, work, repeat. But small actions compound over time. Saving a little money daily builds security. Practicing kindness daily builds strong relationships. Showing discipline daily builds confidence. God often works through ordinary routines, not dramatic moments. When people lose trust in the process, they rush decisions, they settle for less, quit too soon, or compare themselves to others. Comparison steals peace because everyone's process is different. God custom designs each journey. What takes someone else a year may take you 5, but your growth will be deeper and stronger. Trusting the process means believing that setbacks are not stop signs. They are course corrections. When something falls apart, it doesn't mean God abandoned you. It often means God is redirecting you towards something better suited for your growth. Even confusion has purpose. Confusion forces reflection. It slows you down and makes you ask deeper questions. God uses these moments to realign your priorities. What feels unclear today often becomes meaningful later. Faith in the process builds resilience. It teaches you to stand steady even when outcomes are uncertain. You learn to measure success not by immediate results, but by inner growth. God is shaping your character long before shaping your circumstances. So when life feels slow, uncertain, or repetitive, don't lose heart. You are not stuck. You are being shaped. Trust that every effort matters, every lesson counts, and every delay has purpose. God is not rushing your life. He is refining it. And when the time is right, what has been growing quietly will rise with strength and clarity. There comes a moment in every life when waiting turns into wasting. Waiting for confidence, waiting for approval, waiting for the perfect situation, waiting for fear to disappear. People wait, life keeps moving, opportunities pass quietly, time slips away, and purpose remains untouched. God did not create you to live on pause. Stepping boldly into your future is not arrogance. It is obedience to the potential placed inside you. In daily life, courage rarely feels comfortable. Think about someone standing at the edge of a swimming pool for the first time. They test the water with their toes, overthink the depth, and imagine everything that could go wrong. But the moment they jump, fear loses its power. Action silences doubt. God designed courage to appear after movement, not before it. Many people believe they need confidence before they act, but confidence is built by acting. You don't wake up brave, you become brave by doing what scares you. God does not ask you to have all the answers. He asks you to take the step you can take. Clarity follows commitment. Look at someone who wants to change careers. They stay in a job they hate because it feels safe. Years pass and frustration grows. The fear of uncertainty keeps them stuck in certainty they no longer want. God's direction often requires discomfort before fulfillment. Stepping forward may feel risky, but staying stuck costs more. Bold steps don't have to be loud. Sometimes courage looks like applying for one opportunity, having one honest conversation, or saying no when you've always said yes. God honors movement, no matter how small. Progress begins the moment you decide not to stay where you are. Fear exaggerates consequences. It tells you that one mistake will ruin everything, but daily life proves otherwise. People fail, adjust, learn, and continue. God's grace covers learning curves. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the journey toward it. Stepping into your future also means releasing old versions of yourself. The you who survived is not always the you who will thrive. Growth requires shedding habits, mindsets, and identities that no longer fit. God calls you forward, not backward. Becoming requires letting go. Think about how seasons change. Trees don't cling to old leaves out of fear. They release them so new growth can come. People, however, cling to familiar pain because it feels known. God invites you to trust the new season, even when it feels unfamiliar. Boldness also means owning your voice. Many people stay silent because they fear judgment. But the world changes when people speak with honesty and purpose. God placed your perspective in you for a reason. Silence can be safe, but it can also be limiting. When you step boldly, resistance often appears. Everyone will understand your choices. Some will doubt you. Some will project their fears onto you. But God's approval outweighs human opinion. You are not called to be understood by everyone. You are called to be aligned with purpose. Momentum builds quickly once you move. One step leads to another. Confidence grows, fear shrinks, God meets movement with support. The future you desire begins responding the moment you start walking toward it. So stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop shrinking to stay comfortable. Life responds to boldness. Step forward with faith, even if your hands shake. God has already gone ahead of you. Your future is not behind you. It is calling you forward.